All right. So Amazon's made a lot of recent changes with traffic, and the cost of PPC is going up. So are there other ways to get people to your listing? Because really what it comes down to is you want to have people to sell to. And so you got to find ways to get them on your listings. So I'm excited because we're going to have a discussion about some alternate sources of traffic from Sumner Hobart here from the Amazing Escape Plan. So Sumner, thank you for coming on Maximizing E-commerce.
Hey, great to be here. Super, super excited to talk about this.
Yeah. So we were just chatting before we hit record. So you've developed a 7-figure business and you've been helping folks kind of figure out this world. And I think it's one of those things that like we all got to kind of come together and realize that the rising tide lifts all ships, because, you know, as much as I love PPC, and PPC is a great strategy, and I think it's always going to be the best strategy to get people to your Amazon listing, there's still so many other things out there. And I think there's things that we don't think about. And so we'll get into that. But before we get into all tell us a little bit about who you are and what you do and how you got into this whole Amazon e-commerce world.
Yeah, absolutely. So yeah, my name's Sumner Hobart. You can find me just online, all of our kind of journey. But first and foremost, my wife and I, keep a long story short, ultimately we quit our jobs way back. I think it's 2017, 2018.
Okay.
And figured, hey, this Amazon FBA thing, this Amazon business model sounds really interesting. I think we could make this work. So through a lot of trial and error, we, ultimately got started, launched our first product. First product was very successful. We're like, hey, let's do this. Let's do more. Let's do a lot more. So we did our best to bootstrap and just launch as many products. In the beginning, obviously a lot kind of ups and downs, but ultimately figured out, a lot of systems and a lot of tools and methods that are sustainable, that are extremely effective, and that we don't hear a lot of other people talking about. Like, we kind of discovered it on our own, maybe from we kind of look at what someone else is doing in another space. And like, oh, that's interesting. I wonder if we could apply that to Amazon products, like this type of marketing strategy or whatever. And started doing that. We mentioned it to a few people, like, oh my gosh, it's awesome, like at conferences. And we decided, why don't we just start sharing this like on YouTube or whatever? So started getting, on podcasts, creating YouTube content, and started sharing those specific methods and strategies that we found really beneficial for our own business. That's what we're hoping to do today as well, specifically, on the topic of driving traffic, which I think a lot of Amazon sellers don't know. There is a ton of ways to drive traffic to your listing. A lot of good ways too, not just black hat tactics and Amazon PPC.
Right. Exactly. It's not just, all the bad stuff you shouldn't do in PPC. And then there's other ways to get people to a listing. Because, when you think about it, like at the end of the day, if it was an open air market, 2000 years ago, they were trying to drive people to their stand or whatever it was they were doing to sell a product. So, it's not all that different. I like what you said there about how you're getting inspiration from other ideas outside of the Amazon world. And I was recently listening to the audiobook of the Innovation Secrets of Steve Jobs. And one of the things they talked about in that book is that he went outside of technology and computing to get a lot of the ideas that he had. And like, for him, one of his most influential, for anyone that's familiar with Steve Jobs' story probably knows this, is that he like sat in on a calligraphy class after he dropped out of college. He went back and like walked into a calligraphy class to learn about, calligraphy, like, the weird lettering I could never do, but like, it just kind of got his mind into the beauty of how letters could look, which got into like fonts and some of the early iterations of Mac, which, that influenced the way Windows is with, Microsoft based computers. And so, how much things he did that he took inspiration from somewhere else. And the book had a lot of other great examples that I butcher, but I love that. No, what was the job? If you don't mind me asking, what was the job you and your wife quit?
Yeah. So my wife, residential architecture. And then for me, It was, qualitative research analyst is the technical name. We sit, basically my job sounded kind of cool, but honestly, it really sucked. That's part of the reason I quit way back, was extracting quantitative data from qualitative data sets. So the company I was working for is contracted out by Adidas. So we would run like mobile qualitative research. So basically like a focus.
Can you put that in English?
Yeah. So we basically asked a series of kind of strategic questions that the respondent would answer on their mobile device.
Okay.
So for example, like Division I athletes in high school, or, you know, whatever, all different types. There's different kind of segments, you know, for Adidas and other brands that we worked with, like Procter and Gamble. But like, how do you style? Do you dress from, like, you choose out a sneaker and then dress yourself up? Or do you start with, like, you know, your shirt dressed down? What does your outfit look like? And just some other, like, a ton of different questions. That's just kind of one example. And then my job would be, number one, to extract. So kind of analyze, you know, frequency and extract as much quantitative data as I could from those videos, which would range from, like, you know, a few to like dozens. And then also started trying to use different social listening tools, like Crimson Hexagon and others, to kind of aid with the qualitative side. But really, it was just kind of like, I mean, you could have, what I did, you could have outsourced for like $5 from the Philippines, to be completely honest. And it was part, I mean, I'm on good terms with the CEO, who also left after I did. And yeah, it was just kind of like I didn't feel my skills were being utilized. I felt like I could do more. And it was and I'll say this other thing, and then we'll get into the main content that people want to hear. But if people find it helpful, I had the opportunity to meet with the founder of Mensch on a Bench. It's sort of like you know, if you know Elf on the Shelf.
Oh yeah, they were on Shark Tank, right?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. Neil Hoffman.
Sorry,
he was. So this was a Shark. Yep. So it was a Shark Tank product. He came on and he was on Shark Tank, and you can watch that episode. I had the opportunity to meet him. We lived actually very, very close to each other.
Okay.
And he said, yeah, man, if you want to make money, get into products, not services. That was his kind of recommendation. I'm like, okay. And of course, scalability, things like that. You can go great either way. It works really well. But yeah, it was just a lot of factors. It wasn't just kind of like, oh, hey, I saw this YouTube video. This guy was flashing his Lamborghini and whatever, and I want to get into Amazon. It made a lot of sense. And I felt that I could use a lot of my skill sets, which I do use. Obviously, of course, to the best of my ability, with kind of our private label business. And yeah, like I said, of course, there's been ups and downs, but ultimately it's been good. And especially recently, it's really exciting times with Amazon. Some of the more recent announcements in regards to ranking, launching, rank manipulation and things like that. So yeah, it's exciting.
Yeah, that's interesting. So I want to unpack just a little bit of that there. So you were looking at video or just whatever data points, which aren't even necessarily data points, just information or observations out there of what people are doing to try to make some sort of quantitative, like, you know, assumptions, like, you know, like you said, like how they dress from top to bottom or bottom to top, which who would think of that? But maybe that helps Adidas with marketing campaigns or, you know, something they're doing with, you know, maybe designing new products, who knows? So that's interesting, but that's also going back to that, using that lens of what is not necessarily the way you might intuitively think to look at things. So it sounds like you've had a journey of kind of looking at the world through different angles. Am I right in saying that? And feel free if I'm butchering that.
Oh no, absolutely. Absolutely. It's always, I mean, I always try to be as open as I am to learning different concepts, different techniques in all different industries in all different ways. And it is very interesting. Something I personally noticed is kind of in this like Amazon space, the FBA, you know, ecosystem, that there's a little bit of kind of, and not that everyone is like this, but there's a general sense of very closed off. Like, in my opinion, this is just me personally, up to this point. And it may be changing now, but the big kind of for the past couple of years, even few years, it's kind of been like, yeah, Amazon, go hard, aggressive on Amazon PPC for a launch and rebates. There you go. That's the two. And then you're good. That's it. Or now, hey, just Amazon PPC. Amazon PPC is great. I preach Amazon PPC. I teach it. Like, it's great. But there are other tools as well. And it's crazy that I find, very kind of, doesn't seem that there's a lot of people talking about this. Though I believe, especially this year, I think that's going to be changing. And I hope to be, you know, one of those voices of like, hey, here's our business, here's what we're doing. And also a lot of this kind of stuff, it sounds really complicated, it sounds really scary or expensive, and it's not. It can be very, very efficient, profitable, and not a huge learning curve, which I can kind of dive into more a little bit as well.
Okay, great. Yeah. So to your point, what has been kind of the standard orthodoxy for a lot of sellers is, you know, you do PPC to launch, and then depending on the camp somebody may or may not have been in, was possibly do rebates. I was never in the rebate camp, but it was happening, and it was kind of a gray area in terms of service. Now Amazon's made it very black and white that that's a no. So with that, we got to find other ways to get people, because if more and more people are going to bid on PPC keywords, that does push the costs and the bids higher. So it forces more of that money and energy people would have spent on other, things like rebates. Now they're pushing more of that money and spend into PPC. So what are some of these kind of counterintuitive, or maybe not even counterintuitive, maybe too much of a claim, but like other strategies?
Yep. Yeah, absolutely. So when launching a new product, and this could be really any platform, obviously getting traffic is important, driving people to that stand, right? Driving people to your listing. The right people who are actually going to buy to your listing to actually purchase is only going to help you, right? It's going to help directly from getting those direct sales. It's also going to indirectly help you by potentially increasing keyword rank, which it can absolutely do. Mm-hmm. And I mean, it's very evident, and it's been like this for some time, but Amazon has clearly, stated they love external traffic. And this is very evident from our own data as well, and analyzing as we're testing, a lot of different strategies. So, so basically now, when launching products, it's always a good idea to diversify your traffic. And how I kind of like to think about it is whenever you launch a product, having what's called a product launch toolbox. So basically having these different methods, these different tools that, depending on the time of year, depending on the product, that you can pull out and easily implement and use with your launch. So number one is kind of, diversity. And then it's kind of like, okay, what are all the ways to launch a product? Because a lot of people are like, all right, but besides rebates and PPC, what else do you do? And there's a lot of options, and I can kind of dive in and share some of those options now with you if you'd like.
Yes, let's go into that toolbox, so to speak. And what are some of the tools you put in the toolbox?
Yeah, absolutely. So this is personal. There are many, and really, I mean, there can be infinite, but of course, instead of, I hate those articles where it's like, hey, here's like 100 ways to launch an Amazon product. I'm like, I don't want that. I want the best 5. I don't want to read 100. I want the best 5. So here are we have found the best for a variety of reasons, and each on its own. I can kind of, touch on those a little bit. So number one, Google search ads. How that works on a very basic level is a huge percentage, about, I think 36% of all product purchases made online in the United States begin on Google. So obviously Amazon has the lion's share. The majority of people, you want to buy something, you go to Amazon.com. A huge percentage of people are searching for products also on Google. So it's not just, so it's kind of this large platform where there's a lot of intent in Google, but there's also this specific segment of people who are there with purchase intent. So you're able to target that segment and that group using Google search ads. And basically what that is if you've ever typed in, and by the way, this is another kind of example, kind of while I was in college, I ran a small little like social media marketing agency. It was just me, I was freelancing for local college businesses. And we had, some different tools that we used to market their businesses. And one of those was Google search ads, to where you could, for example, someone searching for 2-bedroom apartments, right? Then boom, 2-bedroom apartment, half a mile away from University of Cincinnati. It shows right up there. Click, sends them directly to a landing page where they enter in their information, ultimately to get to book a tour and all of that. So that's more, lead generation. But you can do the same thing with your products. So people are searching for your products. The key with Google search ads is you want to target very specific product-based keywords. And you basically create a Google ad campaign, very, very similar to creating an Amazon PPC campaign. They're both PPC platforms. I mean, and Amazon models a lot of what they do off of Google ads, at least originally, especially because Google ads was around before. So you can basically create a campaign, target extremely specific keywords. So it could be, your product, whatever. It's like what is it? Cork coaster, like, cork coaster, also cork coaster on Amazon. You can target, you can't have trademarks in your actual ad, but you can target them in the keyword. So kind of like we'll say it's the same with Amazon, right? You don't put your competitors' trademark terms in your, your back end, but you can target those terms, and you can create an exact match campaign or whatever, or even an ASIN targeting campaign and target, their product as well as their keywords.
Right, exactly.
Same thing with Google. So you can target very, very specific keywords. You can do that. Then you'll write a very simple, what'll be your actual ad, the actual copy. It's just a headline, subheading, URL, and basically it looks, I think it's about half of all, Google users, I'm trying to think of the right word, visitors, users, can't tell the difference between an ad and an organic search result. So regardless, you're able to target these very specific keywords that your competitors are not doing. People search for your product keywords, you show up on Google, and that Google link takes you directly to your Amazon listing. And then from that, you can actually then obviously directly kind of generate sales from that. And Amazon loves Google traffic, and you can test this and see for yourself and look at your BSR, look at your total revenue and profit, look at your specific kind of your top keyword rankings, and then look at how overall that increases when you're strategically and effectively running Google search ads. That's kind of the overview of how that works specifically. And we use Google Ads for every single product launch and ongoing to kind of keep and maintain our rank as well as kind of scoop up those additional sales.
Are you using the Amazon attribution links, that rebate thing that they've got going on?
Yeah, absolutely. So as soon as I can remember, is Amazon rolling that out, because we've been using, and I'll talk about some of the other things we use, like influencer outreach, Pinterest ads, and Google ads and things like that for a while. And as soon as Amazon kind of rolled it out, we like, hey, let's get on board. Let's use this. And basically, for anyone who doesn't know, for some time now, you're able to, and actually, I don't know if this is available in the UK. I haven't checked yet, but at least in the US market, which I know is a pretty popular market, you can create a tracking URL within Amazon. So it's actually now moved. You'll find this within your Amazon kind of like PPC dashboard, your campaign manager. On the left-hand side under measurement and reporting, you'll click on that, and then you'll find attribution. You click on that, and then you can go there and actually create, basically you create campaigns for any traffic you're driving off Amazon. You can create Amazon attribution, campaigns, but really links. That's what you're creating, are links. And you'll take that link. So for example, you create a link and you name the link, let's say it's like wood coaster, Google ad, wood coaster, Pinterest ad, wood coaster, Pinterest organic. So you can create as many links as you want, take each of those links, and the link just goes to your listing. It's just basically your product detail page. It's that link plus some like tracking stuff that just allows you to kind of better track your performance. What I will say, in the past, the analytics were definitely not accurate, because we would actually look in you'll have all the data in terms of like impressions, clicks, etc. For the Google Ads dashboard, Pinterest ads. And then you look at, okay, here's the total clicks that Google's reporting. And then you look at the total clicks that Amazon's attribution is reporting. And what we found personally, maybe different for others, is that they're not really lining up. So it is still a little bit wonky. I'm hoping and believe that they'll improve upon this quickly. And I'm always kind of keeping my eye out. But still, even if that's not the case, number one, having it set up and ready to go is important. As Amazon improves their metrics, you already have all the systems in place, like it'll be good to go. Then number two is you actually get a kickback or a referral. So every sale that you make through that attribution link, Amazon can give you, believe it's up to 10% of the sale price of any purchase that's made. So you actually get money back. That's how much Amazon wants external traffic. At least in my view, it's clearly Amazon's screaming, hey, take people from as many platforms as possible and push them to Amazon, which makes a lot of sense.
Yeah. And the nice thing is, if your break-even margin was 35% for a sale, let's say, so at a 35% ACoS, your break even with Amazon ads, that would mean theoretically at a 45% ACoS, which you're going to have to calculate this on your own, because you got to take information from the two different systems, Google and Amazon, and merge them together, so to speak. But then that would give you your ACoS, but then you could go a little bit higher. And these don't convert quite as well, but to your point, it's what Amazon wants. They want to see traffic coming in from other sources, because if it's already on their platform, it's already there. And to them, it's just going to be, they don't really care if it goes to A or B, your product or your competitor. But if it's coming in from somewhere else, you're bringing new people to the party, so to speak.
Yep. No, absolutely. And yeah, results will vary by product. And one of the big keys one of the biggest mistakes I've seen of some, sellers trying to set it up, and they send me screenshots and we get on calls and we look through their dashboard, is it depends on your objectives. If you're kind of bigger brand, bigger budget, you can target more there's kind of, product specific and category specific keywords. So if you think about like, a taco holder, so taco holder is a taco holder, so product specific. And then you have, the category, which could be taco accessories, kitchen utensils, cooking utensils, things like that. So you want to be really, so with Amazon, you can, it depends. We're not going to talk about PPC strategy. There's plenty of content out there about that. But, starting off, get really specific, target those product specific, tend to have a higher conversion rate, tend to be less competitive, and then work your way up. With Google Ads, definitely, especially because attribution is, I hope that improves in a lot of different ways in the future in terms of its kind of ergonomics and how easy it is to use, as well as the actual accuracy. I forget what I was going with that. Oh yeah, you want to target really specific keywords. I would encourage you to do that if you want to, make sure your cost, so to speak, is a little bit manageable.
Now, are you doing this with exact match, or are you kind of giving them broad match? Because I think Google is a little bit more liberal, so to speak, with their broad matches.
Absolutely. Well, because they're more broad, because it's a more broad platform, where Amazon, people are there to buy, where Google, people are there to buy and to look for information and to, watch cat videos. I don't know, like a bunch of different things.
Yeah. So like if you put in like wood coaster, somebody could search for history of wood coaster or free wood coaster or something that like, because Google, there's certain terms you want to stay away from. So
free, best, in some cases for adults, wood coaster, or there are a lot of different terms. And really, like, so definitely in Google, absolutely avoid broad match. Absolutely. It's for this strategies, definitely, because you will show up for a ton of irrelevant, or even, and also keep in mind, if someone's typing in, like best wood coaster, or, and I don't know why I'm using wood coaster. I have a coaster right next to me. So that's why I
do the same thing where I use examples. I'm like, air duster, because there's an air duster in front of me.
Linen towel, men's toiletry bag, like whatever, like just, and essentially also, best wood coaster reviews, wood coaster eBay, those type of terms I would stay away from. So yes, only exact match. And really, really specific, you can get creative. And for someone who wants to get started with Google Ads, a couple things. So number one, if you're already running Amazon PPC, that's fantastic. You already have some pretty solid data, especially from your exact match campaign. Look at your top sales driving keywords in your exact match campaign, and use your common sense and kind of think about targeting them but you can copy and basically paste into your Google campaign, so to speak, and then drive that. Because if they're converting on Amazon, there is a chance it can convert on Google. It's not the same platform. You have to be careful and maybe like eliminate some, but there can be quite a bit of overlap, and that's a good starting point. And what you can do is, okay, here's the keywords that I'm converting for on Amazon. Let me like kind of rearrange and make some even additional keywords that I could target as well, all just describing my product with, really specifically and clearly. And a lot of times when people think of like, oh, Amazon PPC, or how much should I spend on like Google Ads? Of course, it's up to you. For us, what we do is whatever our Amazon PPC spend is, it's usually about 5 to 10% is we allocate toward Google Ads. So it's a fairly small percentage. It doesn't need to be a huge percentage. People kind of think, all right, now I need to like, almost like, it's this weird mindset of almost like, what is the one advertising that I should use? What is the one product launch strategy? Or it's like, no, there's multiple. And it's sort of like having a diversified, investment portfolio. I like to think about, having a diversified, just first at launch, but then also ongoing to kind of help increase and maintain those ranks. Really dominate my category as best as I can. So those are just some overall tips of like what Google Ads are, kind of how they work, and how you can kind of organize. And yeah, like I said, you can keep the budgets fairly low and keep your bids low. You can start off with a low bid. If you don't get a lot of traction, slowly increase by like 5 to 10 cents, and move your way up. And then of course, it totally depends on your, your margin, conversion rates, things like that. But I think it's definitely worth it for a lot of products, because Google is such a big engine, to consider at least driving a little bit of traffic from Google. And that little traffic can and the time and effort and money that you spend can absolutely be worth it. Okay. You have to look at your data and analytics, but it can absolutely be worth it, even if it's small.
Awesome. Now, another topic you mentioned there was influencer outreach. And this is something people have talked about forever. And I think, there was kind of a thought at one point, like, oh, if you can just get like, Kim Kardashian to share your project or your product, you're golden. But like, are you talking about going after the Kardashians? Or are you talking about more niche influencers? Like what size? Or I'll let you get into the strategy.
Definitely. to super niche, very, very low. So there's, again, it's kind of like this tool that you can use in a lot of different ways, especially when it comes to influencer outreach. You can reach out to, basically what we do right now. And this is a little bit, I've listened, I try to listen to those who are, I mean, there's like Paul Barron talks about, chat bots with influencer marketing. Tim Jordan talked about affiliate. Like there's all these different kind of sources. And I've implemented that with my own. So I want to make sure I give credit where it's due. But some really cool things you do with influencers. So number one, not a lot of times when people think of influencers, I think about like Facebook and Instagram, which is great, especially Instagram. It's a great platform, big platform, a lot of people there, but there's a lot of other great platforms as well, like TikTok, Pinterest, and YouTube. Those are my favorite. I love those three platforms. And Instagram's still great too, but what you can do, or a thought, and this is, I'm just throwing this out there. This is what we do. We're currently kind of working, and we're always A/B testing and finding different ways. But what we're currently doing with influencers is we are finding emails of influencers. So we type in our product related keywords. So kind of like categories. So like, if I'm selling men's toiletry bags, it's like, it could be like men's accessories or even men's toiletry bag, things like that, like on YouTube, on Pinterest, especially. Or we would think, okay, what, if an influencer is talking about men's toiletry bags, what hashtags would they be using? So maybe like men's grooming or grooming products, grooming kit, things like that. Different creative ways. You have to just think about, what keywords would you be able to find influencers, not products, but influencers on YouTube and Pinterest? And then what hashtags could you use to find influencers on TikTok and Instagram? So that's kind of the first step, is to search. And that's how we kind of search. We find, like I said, kind of micro influencers, anyone who has at least 1,000 followers it could be, even 100,000 plus, but we try to stay around like it really varies. And what's interesting is you find that you can have big influencers kind of respond. We like to diversify it up as well. Like we want to reach out to both smaller and big, but never like mega. We once reached out to an influencer with 1 million, and she made an Instagram story. And I'll talk about like the process, but basically she made an Instagram story for us. We gave her a product for free. She made a story. And from that, I think we made, our sales increased by 150% over that 48-hour period. Oh, wow. When she kind of, she had almost at the time, almost 1 million on Instagram. So it's crazy kind of who will, what you can do. So number one, use those hashtags and keywords to find influencers across these, mainly these 4 platforms. Next, you can find emails. YouTube is a great place to find emails. You'd be shocked by how many influencers actually have their email on the about page of their YouTube channel. Same thing with Pinterest. You can either DM directly through Pinterest in certain cases, or they have their email. So email is really powerful. That's great. And also you can DM on Instagram and TikTok. And a lot of times they'll have overlap. So anyway, you search for these relevant keywords and hashtags. You find influencers with at least 1,000, and you can look at their engagement. I have this whole calculator. I can't remember the formula off the top of my head, to make sure that they're not like a bot, that they have like legitimate, real engaged audience. And then what we do is we just say, hey, here's a free product, period. Not in return for a shout out. Here's our product for free. And if you want to shout us out, feel free. So it's like, okay. And especially a lot of these micro influencers, especially on TikTok and these other platforms and we've had it happen multiple times where they just kind of pick it up and they are more than happy to talk about us, basically for whatever our landed cost plus the removal order for that product was. That's our cost, like, I don't know, $5, $6, I don't know, whatever, right. And send it out. So I know it's kind of a lot. So send it out. A percentage of people, not a huge percentage, but a small percentage will respond back to you, just like with any,
right, exactly. Not everybody's going to respond.
No, yeah, it's not going to be even close to 100%, not even 50%. But a lot does depend on timing, and if you already have an established brand, for example, and a lot of factors. But in general, don't expect a ton of response, but you will get responses if you keep reaching out to enough people. They'll say, yes, here's my shipping address. You send them, place a removal order, send them, your product, and then follow up. Hey, just want to make sure your order arrived, your product, and how do you like it and everything. And also, if you, and make sure I got this one from Tim Jordan, so I want to give him credit for this, but I love this idea. And I've started.
He's got a lot of good ideas. Yeah.
Yeah. Super interesting. He's really, really cool stuff. And I love this. I'm like, oh man, I'm definitely implementing that. So what we do now is we follow up. Hey, make sure you got the product. And also just letting you know, if you if you create an Amazon affiliate link for this product and make any sales, we'll match whatever Amazon pays you. We'll match it at the end of every month.
Really?
So yes, so that incentivizes them, especially on YouTube and Pinterest, where Pinterest, a lot of influencers will monetize through blog content. Blog content, Pinterest content, YouTube content lasts for years.
Yes.
Getting clicks back to your listing for years potentially, which is really, really powerful. So, so you just kind of follow up and like, hey, by the way, if you do have an affiliate program with Amazon, whatever sales you make with Amazon, we'll match it. Or even
so basically they just send you like a screenshot every month.
Exactly. So it's like, yeah, just send us a screenshot of your earnings, and then we'll match it like via PayPal, Cash App, or whatever works for them. And this is a little bit newer. We've implemented this. We've already got some responses, but we're waiting till we get like enough data set to kind of like analyze, a response rate and looking at all that. But so far, I mean, it's pretty powerful. And I think it was a really creative idea. So that's another idea. Again, I can't take credit of like, oh, this is my idea.
Right. No, but like that's awesome. Like that's an amazing idea. So kudos to Tim. If he borrowed that from someone else, whoever came up with that, we'll just say it was him. But either way, to say, that's been a complaint I've heard of people the last couple of years, is that Amazon cut their affiliate program down. And so there's a lot of people I know who had businesses, were very successful, just creating blog content, YouTube content, and all this stuff with like, best fishing lures or best golf, whatever, or best men's accessories, that I could see that being powerful. Like, hey, here's the free thing. And I've come to learn, the more you can entice people and you don't make the sales pitch, especially, cold, is not, hey, come here, do this. It's usually something along the way. And so if you get them to accept the product, now it's in their hand, it's tangible, they're looking at it. You say, oh, by the way, we want to make sure you got it, and we will match whatever earnings you get. Like, I could see them being like, really? Oh, I was thinking about writing about this other thing, but yours is going to take precedence because now you are getting, your product is now more lucrative for them. Yeah.
And hopefully you've also, been really, really intentional through your kind of product development, your product packaging, to where it is hopefully, right, a phenomenal product in and of itself that you gave them for free and are matching all those things together. I mean, me as a micro influencer in the Amazon space, heck yeah, I would be down for that. Unfortunately, it doesn't work the same with me, but totally different kind of space and everything. But oh yeah, like I try to think of it through that lens as well, kind of in their shoes and what their goals are. Yeah. But yeah, we've got, and like I said, that's something else to keep in mind is a lot of times when people are thinking about influencers, not all platforms are created equal. And that's why I can, next I can quickly mention, kind of like Pinterest and TikTok. TikTok I love because so there are a lot of TikTok first of all, there's a lot of TikTok influencers. And there's a lot of TikTok influencers that their biggest pain point is getting paid, period. Is just getting money. So getting money. So
that's true. There's so much YouTube, traffic, right, but there's not a great way to monetize it.
There is absolutely not. It is and I'm a pretty big TikTok user. We have, TikTok accounts with 40,000 followers and things like that. And that is a huge pain point. So what I found is two things with TikTok. Number one, that a lot of these influencers and a lot, it depends on your demographic. A lot, does skew a little bit younger, but there are TikTok accounts, really weird, cool TikTok accounts. Like that's a whole other conversation, but seriously, if you go on TikTok, you're like, there's an account, for example, that it takes screenshots of popular videos, like crops it, and then basically like color corrects it to where it looks like the Polish flag. And it's called Polish Everywhere. You look this up, Polish Everywhere. It's a TikTok account. I believe it has 14 million followers.
You're kidding.
And that's all they do. I swear to God. That's just one of many. Okay. So anyway, it's very interesting. And it's crazy what goes viral. TikTok's a very interesting, just human, social experiment.
But how do you monetize 14 million followers of colors changing to look like the flag of
they have I believe they have a print on demand Shopify site where they sell Polish merch.
Got it. Okay. That's fascinating. So
yeah, so I would encourage you to look it up. I actually follow them because I was like, oh, this is hilarious. Let me follow them. And I found out, I'm like, what the heck? Because I'm always trying to think about it from an e-commerce perspective. anyway, that's totally one random example. There's a lot of other more realistic, what you can think of like an Instagram influencer, more lifestyle and things like that. And like I said, a big pain point is monetization. So when you say you reach on TikTok, hey, here, or especially when you reach out to someone on TikTok who has 100,000 plus followers on TikTok, but they have, 5,000 on Instagram, and you reach out to them on Instagram, right?
Where they're getting less
instead of TikTok
messages on Instagram than they would be on TikTok. Okay.
Less messages, and hey, you only have 5,000. So, I have a lot on TikTok. It's like, but you intentionally did that knowing that they would create and say, oh yeah, if you create TikTok, here's a free product, and still mention that. But a lot are very, very excited and happy to get that free product, and I find be even more happy to kind of talk about it. Like, oh my gosh, like I'm getting brand recognition, like, and then also, so that's kind of one point. The other point with TikTok is, it's crazy how viral content can be. It's the one place where really it's like a lottery, but it's crazy what can go viral. We had one of our videos we posted. I try to be creative. The keyword is try. I'm always trying new things. We had just for fun, we had our supplier send us a video of running over a product with a car. So we put our product underneath the tire and run over it, sort of to show the durability, which it did. And we posted it on TikTok, and we got 2 million views, which we weren't expecting. Wow. We totally forgot, like no link in our bio, like not a ton of information. Like, oh shoot, what are we doing? Right. So we did see an increase in business to our website and like branded searches, but we did not prepare correctly for that kind of influx in traffic. But yeah, your content, even your own, I would encourage people hey, you have videos of the manufacturing process. You'd be crazy how much that could blow up on TikTok, and just not a lot of extra effort, throw it up there, a vertical video, put a couple hashtags in there, and that can go viral. And then once you go viral, people are looking for like a response video. You can give more information about your product. Great example of that is the Moon Pies brand. If you know Moon Pies,
yeah.
There's a viral sound that was basically, it was a sheriff who I think is, I don't know his whole story, but it was the sheriff, I think in Arizona, who's had a message for murderers. And it was like, chill out, drink a 7-Up, eat a moon pie. And that sound went viral. Okay. And then Moon Pies went viral because of that sound. And then, but because of that, then they created an account. Then they started creating more content. So anyway, went the whole rabbit hole of TikTok. Like I said, I like to look at it as a portfolio. Allocate a % of your resources toward TikTok influencers, not all, but because you have that chance of really going viral and really hitting it.
Yeah.
But then the rest, and the majority though of what I prefer, is YouTube and Pinterest. The reason is for content that lasts a long time, potentially
because those are both search-based platforms.
Exactly. Yeah. Basic search engines: Google, YouTube, and Pinterest. Yeah, because YouTube videos rank on YouTube as well as Google. Pinterest content, a lot of that links to blog articles, which, obviously for Google. So kind of those three: Google, YouTube, and Pinterest. Really high domain authority. They can last for years. So really, really powerful. So it's not just like, it's not just like, 10 influencers on Instagram versus 10 posts on Instagram versus, 10 videos on YouTube. I'd rather be inside, as long as it's positive, inside 10 videos on YouTube any day, right?
Yeah.
For all those reasons. So there's just a few things about influencer outreach that a lot of people just focus on Instagram. A couple other little tips for maybe getting better success than what you've had in the past. And that's kind of just about influencers. And again, just having that content that links to your product page, or just get that immediate, and just constantly kind of every month having a little bit of traffic coming from these different social platforms you'll find that it'll help. You'll find that it'll likely help your overall BSR, your bestseller rank, specific keyword ranking. And also you may find that your cost per clicks with Amazon PPC actually can go down. It's a very interesting a thing that happens. So, and if you use a tool, there's a lot of different tools that do this, but like an Amazon kind of product research tool, it might tell you, hey, for this keyword, you need to give away, you need to move.
Once upon a time, that was what they used to say.
I know. I'm thinking of the exact wording of and I'm no, they'll tell you, a sales estimate. Here's how many units you need to sell per day in order to, rank for this keyword, as an estimate. You usually find that when driving all this external traffic from all the things that we've discussed, that number can actually go down, that you need less, you can move less units to rank than otherwise, right? Than just using PPC, for example.
Wow. Well, this has been a great discussion. So for those who wanted to check you out or learn more from you and some of these topics, where would they go?
Yeah, absolutely. So you can find me, try to put everything that I know out there: YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, and I'm on TikTok at Sumner Hobart. So you can find me there. We also have some very kind of, low cost Udemy courses. So courses that are on Udemy and Skillshare, just going very, very in depth. If you wanted to learn more about like Pinterest ads, Google ads, even Etsy, right? And different aspects of Amazon, we have courses specifically about that. But of course, consume the free content. And I'm willing to help in any way I can. Feel free to, reach out to me, DM me, and I'll try to get back to as many people as possible.
Awesome. Well, we'll have links to all that in the show notes, as well as folks watching on YouTube. This will be in the description below. And I also would like to point out that you're speaking at the upcoming Convert More Click Summit. So if someone's listening to this before February 1st to the 3rd, they can go check out your presentation for that, where you're going to go into a little bit more depth on these topics as well. So super excited.
It's going to be good. It's going to be good.
Yes. So if you're listening to this in the future, definitely go check out Sumner and all these. Well, go check out Sumner and all these either way. But then if you do get the chance between February 1st to the 3rd, 2022, check out his presentation for the Convert More Click Summit. So appreciate having you on, Sumner. This is a great conversation. It got my mind really thinking about a couple things.
Awesome. No, thanks so much for having me on. I hope your audience found it valuable. And yeah, I think we'll be in touch for sure. I'm pumped for the conference.
Awesome. Thanks so much.